Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go ahead and say it. Cancel culture has gone too far. It's sunk in that they're killing off our show. But they made one mistake. They left me alive. And now for the next 10 months...
It started like any ordinary night. Colbert in a suit, Trump rage tweeting in a bathrobe. But then the monologue turned, the grin sharpened, and Stephen went feral. 10 straight minutes of scorched earth comedy so blistering it could have wilted Trump's comb-over on contact. No cue cards, no mercy, just Colbert unleashing molten sarcasm, served with a side of glittery disdain. Trump wanted a word war, but he showed up with crayons to a Shakespeare duel.
Even cares about the guy.
I don't understand it. Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life.
There's a special kind of magic in watching a so-called billionaire get demolished by a guy whose job is tucking America in with punchlines. And when that guy is Stephen Colbert, you know Trump's ego is about to be pancaked flatter than a MAGA cap under a steamroller. Because nothing says poetic justice like a late-night comic serving the president his own spray-tan backside on a silver platter.
On Saturday, Trump surprised the world, announcing that the U.S. launched strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. Now, were we facing an imminent threat? I don't know. On one hand, Iran's slogan isn't life to America. But it's hard to trust Donald Trump to be the one making these kinds of decisions. It kind of feels like we're all in the back seat while the Uber driver goes on a road rage.
Donald Trump tried to pick a fight with Colbert, a move about as smart as a raccoon challenging a flamethrower to a staring contest. And Colbert, flashing that trademark grin that says, "I read books and actually know what verbs are," didn't just clap back. He unleashed a comedy haymaker so blistering it should have been served with Tums at Mar-a-Lago's all-you-can-eat buffet of delusion.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, my mustache comes to you with a heavy heart because while I was on vacation, my parent corporation, Paramount, paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I'm offended. And I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in
Trump, whose idea of intellectual rigor is shouting fake news at microwave beeps, seemed unaware that Colbert has been weaponizing sarcasm since before Melania perfected the art of blinking on command. So when he lumbered into the arena hoping to clown a man whose full-time job is clowning clowns, he did what he does best: humiliate himself on a national stage.
All this heat may be affecting the president because, and I want to be Sir, I want to be sensitive about this. His skin seems to be falling off. Trump was speaking on the White House lawn earlier this week, and see if you can pinpoint the moment the cameraman got a little distracted.
At the end of 50 days, if we don't have a deal, it's going to be too bad. Well, get more aggressive. Yeah, the tariffs are going to go on, and other sanctions go on.
Holy Sephora sample counter!
Let's be real. Trump going after Colbert is like a turkey challenging Gordon Ramsay to a roast-off. One has Michelin stars. The other is just overstuffed with nonsense. The only things Trump's ever managed to roast are the integrity of American democracy, and maybe his own hair follicles.
Showmanship, which is surprising because we heard it had tanks and stuff, but in reality, this is what you got. Of course, the White House claims that 250,000 people attended, so now apparently 250,000 people looks like this. They must be really good at hiding.
So Colbert took the stage, probably in a suit that didn't look salvaged from a 1990s Men's Warehouse fire sale, and let it rip. He didn't just clap back, he composed a full symphony of shade, conducted with the finesse of someone who's actually read the Constitution instead of trying to eat it. Trump's latest tantrum, a meltdown that made Chernobyl look like lukewarm oatmeal, was all about late-night comedians, even as he doom-scrolled them at 2 a.m. like a divorced dad stalking his ex's Instagram. The irony. Trump's entire persona is basically a late-night parody president that slipped out of the writer's room and stumbled into the Situation Room. The only difference is Colbert's parody comes with punchlines. Trump's presidency was the punchline. That's not political commentary, it's Darwin hitting pause. Or, in Trump's case, insisting he won an election he lost by more votes than the number of times he's flipped on windmills. Colbert knows logic has never been Trump's strong suit. His real strong suit is denial. And even that's starting to look threadbare.
Settlement is for a nuisance lawsuit Trump filed claiming that 60 Minutes deceptively edited their interview with then-candidate Kamala Harris last fall. Paramount knows they could have easily fought it because, in their own words, the lawsuit was completely without merit. And keep in mind, Paramount produced Transformers: Rise of the Beast. They know completely without merit.
Let's not forget when Trump tried to buy Greenland because someone told him it had tremendous real estate potential, and he assumed it was a frozen golf course. Colbert could roast that for a decade and still have material left over for reruns. While Trump hurls paper towel rolls of rage at his critics, Colbert dissects the absurdity with the precision of a surgeon and the sass of a Broadway diva on a vendetta. Trump can't handle satire because satire requires self-awareness, acknowledging that being president isn't the same as being the loudest guy in the room with a crooked tie and a grudge against windmills. Colbert, though, thrives on that contradiction. He spins every Trump gaffe into comedy gold, every lie into a monologue, every tantrum into a ratings boost. And Trump hates it. Because those aren't assets you can declare bankruptcy on, no matter how many contractors you've stiffed. Let's not forget when Trump tried to buy Greenland because someone told him it had tremendous real estate potential, and he assumed it was a frozen golf course. Colbert could roast that for a decade and still have material left over for reruns. While Trump hurls paper towel rolls of rage at his critics, Colbert dissects the absurdity with the precision of a surgeon and the sass of a Broadway diva on a vendetta. Trump can't handle satire because satire requires self-awareness, acknowledging that being president isn't the same as being the loudest guy in the room with a crooked tie and a grudge against windmills. Colbert, though, thrives on that contradiction. He spins every Trump gaffe into comedy gold, every lie into a monologue, every tantrum into a ratings boost. And Trump hates it. Because those aren't assets you can declare bankruptcy on, no matter how many contractors you've stiffed.
A tenuous ceasefire between Iran and Israel. What happened was around 6 p.m. last night, Donald Trump dropped this post. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire officially. Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire.
Colbert didn't just respond. He dismantled. With every arched eyebrow, every punchline, every perfectly timed pause, he turned Trump into a walking meme of regret. Watching Trump try to go head-to-head with Colbert is like watching a goose challenge a chess grandmaster. Lots of honking, feathers everywhere, and zero strategy. The best part? Trump walked right into it, as he always does, because he thinks comedy works like his rallies. Yell loud enough and someone will cheer. But Colbert doesn't need volume. He just raises an eyebrow, drops a line, and suddenly Trump's blinking like he's just learned Puerto Rico is part of the United States. And the more Trump spirals, the sharper Colbert gets. He's not just the guy pointing out the emperor has no clothes. He's staging a runway show mocking the spray tan, the hairpiece, and the pathological inability to spell. Remember when Trump tried to ban TikTok? His entire brand is already a parody of competence. Colbert just broadcasts that parody in HD every weeknight to millions who desperately want someone to say what they're all thinking. Is this politics? Or are we all trapped in a reality TV blooper reel with no off switch?
No, he's right. The Epstein saga is a total snooze fest. I mean, the most powerful man in the world is blocking information about a cabal of the rich, the famous, and the royal, befriending a con man who regularly flies off in his private plane to his private island or do super illegal sex stuff. Then the con man is arrested. People are afraid he's going to name names, but before he can, he mysteriously dies right after being taken off a suicide watch in a federal prison during the administration of the guy who is blocking the release of the information. Boring!
Every time Trump lashes out, it's like lighter fluid on Colbert's fire. You can practically hear the CBS producers popping champagne every time Trump rage posts about very unfair late-night losers. Because when a man who once suggested injecting bleach into humans calls you dangerous, you know you're on the right track. Trump loves to play tough, but his skin is thinner than the ice at a climate summit. He can't handle comedians, can't handle critique, and definitely can't handle being the butt of a joke that isn't followed by cheers from a sycophantic crowd. Meanwhile, Colbert calmly points out that the emperor isn't just naked, he's also screaming at a lamppost about voter fraud. And honestly, if that's not Emmy-worthy, what is? Remember Trump's genius take on wildfires. Rake the forest. This from a man who thinks the Earth's lungs can be maintained with a leaf blower. Trump obsesses over image. Fake tans, fog machines, staged reality. Colbert obsesses over truth, peeling back the absurdity layer by layer like an onion that makes you laugh and cry at the same time. Mostly cry from laughing too hard, or from remembering this guy once had the nuclear codes. And that, more than anything, is what drives Trump mad.
For years, before he was, reelected, and recently, since they all got into office, a bunch of high-ranking people in Trump's administration have kept promising to release the files surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, his mysterious clients, and his suspicious death. But now, suddenly, for reasons that I legally cannot think of, Donald Trump seems desperate to stop us from knowing who Jeffrey Epstein's clients.
Trump can't silence comedians. Jokes move faster than lawsuits. He can't outwit Colbert. That would require reading something longer than a menu. He can't even distract from the roast by bragging about crowd sizes anymore, because Colbert's punchlines pull more views than his very legal and very cool press conferences. The beauty is, Colbert doesn't even need to exaggerate. He just frames the absurdity and lets the audience connect the dots. It's like watching people slowly realize their business mogul hero once tried to buy a hurricane with Sharpie ink and wishful thinking. At this point, Colbert's roasting Trump with such surgical precision you'd think he majored in political satire and minored in presidential clown studies. And the material? Endless. Trump's social media app is flopping harder than his casinos. His legal woes are piling up like expired Trump steaks in a Mar-a-Lago freezer. Yet he keeps charging into battle like a malfunctioning Roomba trying to fight its own reflection. Meanwhile, Colbert sits back, popcorn in hand, monologue locked and loaded, ready to turn the latest Trump misfire into comedy carnage. Trump craves control. Colbert craves comedy. And the contrast couldn't be sharper. Trump's idea of a clapback is a press release that reads like a ransom note drafted by a sleep-deprived toddler. Colbert's is 5 minutes of razor-sharp satire delivered with a grin so smug it could power a Tesla.
Unlike the payoffs from ABC and Twitter, Paramount's settlement did not include an apology. Instead, that's good. Instead, the corporation released a statement where they said, "You may take our money, but you will never take our dignity. You may, however, purchase our dignity for the low, low price of $16 million. We need the cash."
The truth is, this isn't a fair fight. It's a massacre of dignity, logic, and hair gel budgets. Trump can scream all he wants about low ratings and very unfair jokes, but Colbert has already won. Not with volume, but with precision. Not with rage, but with ridicule. Not with rallies, but with roasts. And Trump, bless his overcooked ego, keeps coming back for more. Like a moth to a flame, or a con man to a courtroom. Every attack just hands Colbert fresh ammo, more monologue fuel, more reasons for us to grab the popcorn. If Trump thought he could outmatch a man whose career is built on making America laugh at political absurdity, he should stick to what he does best: losing lawsuits, dodging subpoenas, and mistaking satire for fake news. Because when it comes to a war of words, Colbert isn't just playing chess, he's playing 4D sarcasm on a late-night stage. Trump, meanwhile, is still trying to remember how the horse moves. Going after Colbert is like a flamingo challenging a wood chipper, bizarre, colorful, and guaranteed to end in feathers everywhere. This is the same man who once stared directly at a solar eclipse with his bare eyes, yet he thought he could outsmart the living embodiment of a Harvard degree and a mic drop. Trump's rebuttals sound like expired fortune cookies read by a malfunctioning Furby. Colbert's clapbacks? They land with the elegance of a Shakespearean insult wrapped in a roast beef sandwich.
Last week, Trump's press secretary said this:
"I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
That would have been perfect for me, because we would have been on vacation next week and I wouldn't have known any of this was happening. Now I'm going to have to cancel my reservation at Sandals Fordo.
Every time Trump rants about nasty late-night guys, Colbert's ratings spike like Mar-a-Lago's thermostat during a climate change denial convention. It's a gift, really. Trump is the only man who can lose an argument he started against someone armed with nothing but a tie clip and a thesaurus. Meanwhile, Colbert's desk might as well be a throne, his monologue a royal decree of comedic doom. Trump could spend the next 5 years rage posting from whatever bargain bin social media bunker he's hiding in, and Colbert would still spin every typo, tantrum, and tantrum about a typo into comedy gold. This isn't David versus Goliath. It's Goliath smacking himself in the face with his own club, while Colbert narrates the whole thing in iambic pentameter.